When you're at the end of your draft, you should always be looking for a sneaky good pick. Who are some of the best sleepers to target with those picks, though? We'll discuss that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here with my brother and my co-host, Matthew Ane.
Yo.
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball and we'll be there. If you listen on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else that allows it, leave us a little 5-star review if you'd like to. Also, if you leave a little review, that goes a long way to help the outreach of the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, throw us a like and a comment on there because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. Guys, once again, and you guys are killing it for us, and we appreciate it so much. Matt and I are just asking if you're a big fan of us, or if you're new here, you like the podcast, like what you hear, if you could share our podcast on YouTube with a friend or two or three. We're so close to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and it would go a long way to help us. And we truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. And then, what you're here for, guys, on today's episode, Matt and I are talking sleepers, if you haven't already figured it out. It's such a great episode. We got a lot of action-packed names here, and we actually have the first one up is really, really big here. And I know my brother Matt loves him, and he kind of called this one.
Yep. We're talking about Anthony Volpe. Dom told me I was crazy. He said I wasn't sure. It didn't think we were going to make the team. And I'm like, well, you know what, bro? Like, there's no way. And the reason why I was saying was the amount of games he was playing and the amount of at-bats he was getting. It was kind of indicative of what their plan was, to really see if, like, hey, he's got the chops to break camp this year, and let's actually give him a shot because, there is some holes in that lineup, and you know what? Volpe's a perfect fit. Volpe's upside is he can actually hit you with, 40 stolen bases. Like, he can be like the Trey Turner, the new Trey Turner light. He has opportunity to do a lot of things, and I'm really excited for Volpe. And in spring training, he's doing his thing, right? In 37 at-bats, he has 8 runs, 11 hits, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 ribbies, 4 stolen bases, 7 walks, 10 strikeouts, and batting .297. That's all amazing numbers. And for his OPS leagues, he also has a .990 OPS, which is great. And quite honestly, his OPS is pretty stellar even in the minors. In 2021, he had a 1078. In 2022 combined, he had an 802. So he has that bonus in that category as well, just a heads up. So what he's been doing, what he did in 2022 is actually pretty good as well in 511 at-bats in the minors, in AAA and AA. He had 86 runs. He had 35 doubles, 5 triples, 21 home runs, 65 ribs, 50 stolen bases. Let me repeat that. 50 stolen bases. Walked 65 times, struck out 118 times, and batted .249, which is a little bit on the low side for him because honestly, in 2021 he batted .302, and for Tampa, which is their other minor league team in A, and Dutton A+, it was .286, and for that average that year was .294. So I think he's more of like a .270, .280 hitter after he adjusts to the bigs, and with that 50 stolen base potential with the promising home runs that, like, if he's hitting 21, I don't know exactly what his power grade is off the top of my head, that I don't have available to me in this moment, but I could think he can get you 17 to 20 home runs, with that 50 stolen bases, and being on the Yankees, he's at least going to have 100 runs, and maybe they'll put him in a position where he can get some ribbies to chip in, maybe about 80. That's a top 50 player. That's better than Brandon Nimmo. That's better than McNeil. That's better than, I just named 2 Mets just because Mets suck. Sorry, Met fans. I'm just kidding. They're great. That's better than that's like Starling Marte numbers in his prime. Those are numbers you want, and that's somebody that's going to be in their rookie, or probably somebody that's going in the last pick, or some people probably even got in the news that he was called up and then he's breaking camp. So I would definitely scoop up Volpe. And if he's sitting on the waivers, scoop him up now if you're already drafted. All right. That's just why I think Volpe's going to be great this year in my sleeper.
Matt, that's a great analysis here. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit because you pretty much nailed everything there. Volpe's coming off the board as the 34th shortstop, pick 293. It won't stay that way for much longer. So if you're drafting this weekend, try and get ahead on that. I would probably jump him up to like 200, maybe even a little bit higher than that. But I absolutely love Anthony Volpe, and I think you take him everywhere right now. Excuse me 1 second. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Dom likes to use the Lord's name in vain, but it's all good. It looks like he's choking. I told him to save that for the corners. Unfortunately, he didn't.
Yeah, excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah.
Did you make any money for me at least with all the choking?
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. But you know what? Taking Anthony Volpe will help you succeed this year in your fantasy draft. So take him now before the word gets out that he's officially made the team. Now, next up, we have another young gun and somebody that also is pretty much a lock to make his team. They did not announce it yet, but that's Oscar Colas of the Chicago White Sox, somebody that we've talked about before on this podcast. He's got a pretty good glove. He's got a big bat. Matt and I like to talk about growing into your man body. Oscar Colas is already 6'1", 220. And another guy, he's doing pretty solid in spring training. He's not putting up Anthony Volpe numbers, but he's doing pretty solid, right? 20 games for Colas. 13 hits, a double, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, a steal. And, the walk-to-strikeout ratio isn't great, but he's still hitting 265. So, sometimes guys strike out a lot, still hit for a good average. Let's talk about what Colas has done, though, in the minors, because he's been pretty solid down there. Last year in the minors, Colas played across 3 levels, 117 games, 481 at-bats, 81 runs, 24 doubles, 4 triples, 23 bombs, 79 RBIs, 3 steals, and hit 314. So their upside is definitely there for Colas. He's going super, super late right now in drafts. And once again, unlike Volpe, the word isn't officially out that Colas has made the team. So you still have time to get out there, take him with your last pick, especially those AL-only leagues where it's a little bit tougher, those 5 outfielder leagues. You definitely want to go out there and grab him. I'm trying to pull up his ADP for you guys real quick before we move on here. So Colas is coming off the board now, 75th outfielder, pick 312. There's a ton of value right there. Hopefully he's one of those catalysts in that White Sox lineup, which isn't super, super great. So maybe he'll bat higher than, we'd expect. But Oscar Colas is definitely somebody I'm targeting right now as a sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, Colas is like a wide awake sleeper. He isn't like a hidden secret here. And the second that news flies up the board, like Volpe, once that news breaks that he's on the team, he's going to fly right up that board. There's no way in hell he's not breaking camp. So, scoop him up if you're already drafted. And if the announcement comes in this weekend, bump him up a couple rounds. Excuse me, now that I'm doing it, Dom, it's contagious. And just go
That's
from
what
there.
you get for making fun of me.
Bro, I'm always going to make fun of you. It's been about 20 years. It's going to keep going. I'm just saying.
Of course.
I'm just saying. And before we talk about my next guy here and all the rest of our sleepers that are going to help you win your draft, here at Locked On, we're super excited about our new sports betting partner, FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here. Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from money line, points scored, and threes drained. Plus, they even let you combine bets for a same-game parlay for a bigger payout. So don't miss out on your chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about Mr. Eric Lauer. Lauer is an interesting name. He had a nice little stint last year and was really, really effective. And he ended the year with a pretty great stat line. In 158 innings, he had 157 strikeouts. He had 11 wins. And he had a 3.69 ERA and a 1.22 whip. Now, that's a little bit high, but, it is what it is. I think that's pretty much what we're going to see, maybe a little bit less. But the thing is, I feel like he took a step forward last year just based off of, his numbers and what we've been seeing trending. He He's been the year before he had a 319, but he only had 118 innings, which is another great sign of a guy coming through his progressions. You know, the COVID year kind of gave him a little bit of a little wrinkle in the plan, because in 2019 he got his first real shot at 149 innings, didn't really do much with it at a 4.45 ERA. But then after COVID coming back in 2021, he really started taking a turn for the best, and I think he's ready to really take this step forward. That K per nine, literally like a hair off. And, being on that Milwaukee team, I think they're going to take a step forward as a team as well. So that 11 wins, I think, is repeatable, even though it is an unpredictable stat. I think that Eric Lauer is a great value going on this year, something that everybody's pretty much forgetting because he did have that little slump. I say, scoop him up. It's your last couple pitchers. I did it the other day where I scooped him up, and I was pretty happy to ground off my my rotation with that, because Lauer could be a very valuable piece going down the stretch. He can put up some really, really monster games, and going that late, I don't think you can get any value better than that from a pitcher, at least. And Eric Lauer is one of the better sleepers this year.
Yeah, Eric Lauer is currently coming off the board as the 85th overall starting pitcher, pick 288, and I think that, it's what truly makes him a sleeper right now. The ERA is probably going to be solid over the last 2 years. It's let's get this number going. It's 277 innings with a 3.47 ERA, right under that K per nine, but that's still solid for where you're getting him. And, the whip is a 1.18 over that time. So he might be a little bit higher in the whip. He's still almost close to that K per nine. Milwaukee's going to be a decent team this year, so he'll get the wins. He's helping you in now, about 3 out of the 4 starting pitching categories. And, when you're talking about 5x5. So I think it's a great deal that you're getting on Eric Lauer at the moment. He's going behind a lot of pitchers that aren't as good as he is and don't produce those kinds of numbers. So right now, if you're drafting this weekend, like Matt said, get Eric Lauer as one of your last picks and walk away very, very happy. So now, guys, if anyone has listened to this podcast before, you're probably getting tired of us talking about this guy at this point, but he's still on fire and he's going so late. It's Anthony Rendon. Somebody that I picked up in both of my drafts this past weekend, and I was very, very excited to get him as late as I did. Now, the thing is, Rendon is a flanges guy, as my brother Matt would say. If you're not familiar with the term flanges, it's just something that Matt came up with that kind of stuck. The fans like it, we like it. So, you hear the term flanges guy, it just means that he's injury prone. So once again, Anthony Rendon, that, a little flanges issue, over the past few years. It's all right, though, because we think he's finally got it together. He even had a monster game today as well. So these stats I'm about to read off from spring training aren't indicative of the 3-for-4 game that he had today. So Anthony Rendon, 10 games this spring training, 23 at-bats, 5 runs, 9 hits, a double, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and he's hitting .391. He's absolutely raking. I think he's putting the injuries behind him. And on that team, only got a lot better. They picked up Drury. They picked up Renfroe. You got Ohtani and Trout. And Anthony Rendon's probably going to be hitting right between both of them possibly. And Anthony Rendon is currently buried right now. He's still coming off the board as the 19th third baseman, picked 211 overall. I have Anthony Rendon ranked as my 11th third baseman. Probably even going to move him up when I do my final rankings adjustment heading into the weekend. You take this guy with confidence, I pick 200 and you just walk away super, super happy. Even jump the gun. If you had to take him at 170, I would do it all day long.
Yeah.
Anthony Rendon.
Hell yeah. I mean, Rendon's a great scoop. He can be an awesome flex if you really think about it. And like Dom said, if you're in a pinch, you scoop him up because, I mean, what's the worst that happens? You're probably going to have a really bad third baseman if you don't scoop him up. And if he gets hurt, it is what it is. You'd be in the same scenario if you didn't draft him. So at least you get him until he gets hurt. And if you can manage to pull off that season, yeah, buddy. But let's move on. Dom did a phenomenal job. Let's talk about Jose Miranda.
Love this kid too.
Dude, I love him. I mean, he's having a good spring, not wonderful, but good. Right? In 26 at-bats, he has 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 6 ribbies, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts, and batting .269. So it tells me he's pretty much just fly balling it. And his OPS is a 1.079, which is even better. I really like that. And this is the crazy part, right? So I'm not even going to talk about what he did in the bigs last year because he did have a good season. And don't get me wrong, but I'm going to read off what he did in 2021 across AA and AAA, right? In 535 at-bats, he had 97 runs, 32 doubles, 30 home runs, 94 ribbies, 4 stolen bases, which is still nice. Doesn't really strike out because he walked 42 times, only struck out 74 times. And he batted, and he batted .344. Okay. 344. And his first real shot at the bigs, now I'll read it off. He had 444 at bats, 45 runs, 25 doubles, 15 home runs, 66 ribs. He still didn't really, he struck out a little bit more. I think he was trying to adjust. He had 91 strikeouts to 28 walks and still batted 268. Now, if Miranda can even come to what, like an average between what he did his first year and the 2021 season between 344 and 268, let's just call it an even 285 hitter, right? And then gets the home runs up to like 25 to 30, like we know he can in the minors. With that Twins team, if everybody can stay healthy and things can kind of just flow out there, Miranda has some serious upside. Right now on Yahoo, he's ranked the 95th player. I don't know what his ADP is off the top of my head. I apologize. I just don't have that in front of me. Dom might have it for me.
If you want it, he's the 12th third baseman off the board, pick 163.
Right, and that's cheap. You said third baseman?
Yes.
Okay, that's really nice. In a 12-man league, if you missed out on Rendon, or if you weren't sure if you weren't sure about Miranda, sure about Rendon, you scoop up Miranda. I think you're happy, and I'm getting them. And personally, if you're really smart, you try and scoop him up so that person doesn't get him, and you get him as a UT, and he's going to make wonders for your lineup. I think Miranda is going to do a lot for you this year. So just keep it rolling and keep drafting Miranda.
Yeah, I do love me some Jose Miranda. I just feel like, like 2 months ago, he was going so much later, and he was like a bona fide sleeper at the time. But it seems like everyone's kind of caught on to the Jose Miranda train, and they're not letting go. Because now at pick 160, I do like him there, but once again, he's going over Rendon. He's going over a lot of guys that. You got Ty France under him. You got, Jordan Walker, somebody that we all love, if he makes that, Cardinals team. I do feel like he's getting a little pricier, but it's still solid value there. So if people are jumping the gun on him, not somebody that I'm dying to have, but I do like him. The batting average hasn't always been great over his full minor league career. He did have that monster 2021, and then 2022 in the minors, the average dropped down to 256. I think there's a lot of upside. He's going to be 25 this year, but just once again, I'm not jumping the gun on him as far as where he's going in terms of third baseman. But if he falls a little bit, if he can get him around pick 180, closer to 200, I think that's where the value is going to come in. That's where the sleeper value comes in with Miranda. So just keep an eye on how your draft is going. I'm not jumping the gun on him, but once again, if he falls a little bit, definitely a guy that I would like to take a little bit later. So let's go on to one of the stars of the World Baseball Classic, somebody that we love around here, and that's a little Lars Nootbar, somebody that we've also talked about a few times on the pod.
Playing right now.
He's in the middle of this World Baseball Classic. I don't know if you guys seen. I got the USA jersey on, rooting for the hometown country. Watching a little Trey Turner, the American hero. Gonna start have to calling him Captain America. But let's get back on track here. Let's talk about Lars Nootbar. And Lars Nootbar kind of had a little bit of a breakout last year. Played 108 games, 290 at-bats, 53 runs, 16 doubles, 3 triples, 14 bombs, 40 RBIs, 4 steals, and he hit 228. Now, batting average is a little low, definitely understandable. But let's talk about, the kind of guy that he was in the minors. Let's go back to that. Let's talk about, the full 2019 season, because that's when he played the most games, right? 101 games for Lars Nootbar in 2019 in the minors across 3 different levels, 341 at-bats. He had 39 runs. He had 90 hits, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 7 homers, had 38 RBIs, 4 steals, and he had 264. Now, he's a plus grade bat, so I think that batting average could come up around 250, 260. The RBIs and runs should be solid in that great Cardinals team. And I think he's somebody that's really going to have that big breakout year. He's got decent speed. He could chip in, 10 steals. I could see him being like a 25 homer, 12 steal guy. Like I said, 250, 260 batting average. And, the runs and RBIs are going to be absolutely fantastic. So Lars Nootbar is definitely somebody that I'm targeting in drafts. So, Matt, I don't know if you want to chime in here real quick, brother.
No, I think you got something to say here.
All right, guys. So here at Locked On, we're super excited about our new sports betting partner. Oh no, that's the wrong one. So there's something else I'm really excited about here, guys. I'm sorry, I forgot to scroll down, doing the Ron Burgundy here. So, guys, I'm really excited by our new partner and sponsor of today's episode, and that is the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. Have you ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your own professional baseball franchise? Well, if so, your dream has now come true. Because in this game, you get to manage every strategic aspect of your team through the season and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and training staff, and also managing team finances, scouting and drafting players, also managing those difficult personalities, navigating through your franchise, through free agency, and all the ups and downs that come with a season. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable without Wi-Fi. Play on the go as you want, when you want. Matt and I have absolutely been hooked on this game since we've downloaded, and in this game you can compete against each other like Matt and I have been doing, and you should definitely do the same with you and your friends. Locked On Fantasy Baseball listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download this game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. So, guys, let's get back into the heat here. And, Matt, I think you wanted to throw some love Lars Nootbar's way because I know that's one of your boys, too.
Yeah, I love the Newt. The bar is great. It's almost good as the Built Bar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Newt is great. He's got power. He could chip in a couple steals. I think he's going to be a nice little pick this year. He's going pretty decent. He's going as your fourth outfielder in some drafts. So I think, he's definitely worth the scoop up this year. But let's move on. He's a great guy. Great job covering him. Let's talk about one of my favorite catchers this year on the cheap, and that's Logan O'Hoppe. A prospect that's been called up last year for a quick little minute and, got to show a little face, and it's kind of great. I like what he did when he got that short little cup of coffee. He had like 14 at-bats. He got a run. He got 4 hits. He got 2 ribs, walked twice, struck out 3 times, and he batted .286, which is great. But what I'm really impressed with is his minor league career in 2022 before he got the call-up between 2 teams. He had like 360 at-bats, 72 runs, 14 doubles, a triple, 26 home runs, 78 ribs, 7 stolen bases. Walked almost as much as he struck out because he had 70 walks to 74 strikeouts, and he batted .283. Now, I'm not saying this kid's going to come out and just like be an outright stud where he's batting 300 or that's .283 and striking out, walking as much as he's striking out, especially because this is his first full year. But what he did in his little cup of coffee is encouraging. And the fact that he's free 99, and I really don't like picking catchers that early anyway. If I missed one of the higher end guys at the end of the tier where we're at like the 10 mark here, and I'm stuck with the 11 and 12 guy that I'm not even sure if they're going to make it through the year or whatever, how you're looking at the perspective. I like scooping Logan O'Hoppe to see if he kind of breaks out, because then if he starts doing what I think he's going to do, then, I'm going to drop the guy I drafted, and I'm just going to start Logan O'Hoppe. You can literally get him with your last pick of the draft. And Logan is going to do justice this year for you in most leagues. I'm all about Logan this year. Definitely keep an eye out for him as your last pick. So Logan O'Hoppe is going to be a great sleeper this year. Dom, what happened? Because I'm not watching the game.
Yeah, no, real quick, guys. Kyle Freeland just struck out Shohei Ohtani with one of the most filthy pitches that I've seen in a long time from Kyle Freeland. So that was pretty awesome to see. Nice. But yeah, let's get some Logan O'Hoppe here. Somebody I definitely love. He's coming off the board as a 21st catcher, picked 320 overall, which is absolutely insane. Like Matt said, in my opinion, after the top 11 catchers, it kind of falls off a cliff. And I have Logan O'Hoppe right there. And like him and I'll give you guys another free sleeper pick. Gabriel Moreno and Logan O'Hoppe are probably my next 2 after that top 11. And real quick, not to transition too much, but Gabriel Moreno, I think, is making that Diamondbacks team, and he's going to be starting at catcher because I saw an update that Carson Kelly is banged up and he's going to miss some time. So, O'Hoppe and Moreno are 2 very, very good sleeper catchers to grab. With O'Hoppe, being the later of the 2, I picked 320, which is outrageous. He did come over to the Angels, in that Brandon Marsh trade. And the sky's the limit for this kid. I'm pretty sure he's going to make the team. And, that as we talked about with Rendon, that Angels team is prepared to make a nice little playoff run and have a very good year this year. So you can definitely get Logan O'Hoppe if you missed out on those top-tier catchers. But, guys, we got one more. And also somebody that if you've watched any of the mock draft episodes or if you watched any other episodes, a name that Matt and I are super, super high on, and that is Michael Kopech. Now, let's talk about this real quick. Michael Kopech, age 27, was a very, very high-end prospect, had some, injury issues throughout his career. But, over the last few years, he's kind of slowly, come back into his own. And so far in spring training, Kopech has yet to give up a run across 2 starts, 5 innings, only 3 hits and 2 walks, 4 strikeouts with the 0.93 whip. So he's prepared, it looks like, to, just come back this year and say, guys, you know what? I banged up my knee at the end of last year, and, I didn't have as a productive year as some people may have thought, even though he did still have a pretty decent year, Kopech, last year. 5 wins, 9 losses. Let's hope the White Sox are better and that wins pick up. If anything, he could, even if they're not great, I still see 11, 12 wins, 3.54 ERA last year, 25 starts, 119 innings, 105 Ks, and he had a 1.19 whip. I think he improves in almost all of those categories. In his career, he's well over a K per 9, 203 innings for Kopech's career, 223 Ks. I think he gets back to that. And the thing is, guys, what truly makes Kopech, in my opinion, one of the best sleepers out there, 77th starting pitcher, picked 267 overall. Some of these guys that are going ahead of him, like Wainwright and Carrasco and Tyler Anderson, I think he's just going to blow them out of the water. Even hurt Lance McCullers' ADP is still higher than Kopech. Right now, if you get Kopech as, your 7th, 8th starting pitcher, you're walking away with a guy that could potentially be your 5th or 4th starting pitcher if Kopech does take that next step and he gets back over that K per 9. That ERA is going to look good. That whip is going to look good. Yeah, I don't know why Kopech is going so low. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it makes him the perfect sleeper for this year.
Yeah, Kopech is great. If you heard anything, Dom and I will just be fighting over him in every draft that we're together. So
and who got him over the weekend?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I lost the ADP game because I forgot I'm playing with Dom. Kopech's gonna be great. Draft him with confidence. That's it. You got it, bro. Let's wrap this thing up.
Yes, sir, guys. So that is all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Check out our website, guys. I'm going to tell you this all week because I know you got drafts coming up this weekend. We have our rankings there, and that's the biggest key to the website right now, guys. Go there. You can grab our rankings. You can print them out. Make sure you put it in landscape form when you're printing so they print out nice and clear and clean for you guys. Our rankings are skewed to 5x5 head-to-head categories. Also works for Roto. So much for points. It's points is really skewed towards your league. We do have a draft tips episode coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. We'll try and show points league some love in that episode. But even if you print out our rankings for points leagues, I'm sure you'll do very well as long as you understand if hitters or pitchers get more points in your league. But those rankings are key, guys. Matt and I do this, and we take pride in our rankings. We put a lot of time and effort into them, so make sure you get to that. And as I said, tomorrow is a draft tips episode, so stay tuned for that. But guys, until then, see you.
Peace.